Thiollier is an NPC in Elden Ring with an important questline that spans the entire length of the Shadow of the Erdtree DLC. The entire questline and many unique rewards that can be obtained along the way will all be covered in this guide, and as usual, useful timestamps can be found in the video description. I also recommend checking the pinned comment before watching, as I will update it with any additional important information as time goes on. In order to access the DLC, you will need to defeat Radahn and Mohg, Lord of Blood. I cover both of those extensively in my complete guide on how to prepare for the DLC, which I will leave a link to near the bottom of this video's description. Once we've done that, we can enter the Shadow Realm by interacting with Miquella's cocoon. We will start with a part of Thiollier's quest that can be missed if the Shadow Keep is approached before doing it. Doing this step is not necessary to complete Thiollier's quest, but it will get us an item that can be used in another NPC's quest. The first thing we will need to do is find Thiollier. Starting at the gravesite Plain Sight of Grace, we will move northeast across the Elac Great Bridge to reach the castle front. We can then move southeast along the main road, eventually splitting off onto a minor trail that will lead us to Pillar Path Cross. Thiollier can be found nearby. After speaking through all of Thiollier's dialogue, we will be able to buy poison-related items from him. Next, we can make our way over to the main gate cross, where we will want to speak with Mor, another NPC. If we choose the Talk to Mor option, he should give us the Black Syrup key item. Making our way back to Thiollier, we can give the Black Syrup, then ask about the Black Syrup, and finally say, "I'm weary of life." This will get us Thiolier's Concoction. More of this consumable can be purchased from Thiollier for 30,000 runes each. However, I only know about one legitimate use for it. At some point during the Dragon Communion Priestess quest, before fighting Baal, Thiollier's Concoction can be given to her to get her as a spirit summons after defeating Baal, rather than her Priestess Heart and Gavel weapon. Unfortunately, at the time of making this video, I have not tested this out for myself. In any case, to further progress Thiollier's quest, we will need to approach the Shadow Keep, and that means we will need to reach Shadow Altus. There is actually a way to do this that does not require going through Castle Ensis. As mentioned earlier, approaching the Shadow Keep will progress multiple quest lines, including Thiollier's. Starting from the castle front Sight of Grace, we will need to head southeast down into a valley area. This will lead to an area of Miranda flowers and pools of poison, with a wooden shack visible in the distance. Beyond the pools of poison, there is a sealed spirit spring. It can be activated by destroying the pile of rocks just a short distance east of it. We can then take the spirit spring up to a secluded area and a second spirit spring there all the way up to the Sight of Grace behind the Fort of Reprimand in Shadow Altus. After discovering the Grace, we can jump over the fort wall to the northeast to reach the ground below with only minimal damage taken. We will then move around the fort towards the northwest side of it. We may as well discover the Morth Highway South site of Grace before continuing on. If we haven't already done so, we should go grab the map for this region. To reach it, we can follow northwest along the Morth Highway. We may as well discover the Morth Ruins site of Grace along the way. It should be on the east side of the road, near one of Miquella's crosses. The highway will eventually merge with another road, and the map can be found at that intersection. Once we've gotten the map, we will just need to move north up the road to the main entrance of Shadow Keep. Upon our arrival, we should hear a sound chime and receive a notification that a great rune and powerful charm have both been broken. We can go inside the Shadow Keep and discover the site of Grace there before moving on, but it's not necessary for this quest. Next up, we will need to go speak with Thiollier. He should remark at how Miquella's charm on him has been broken and about being haunted by memories of St. Trina. If we want, we can do something that's entirely optional. We can go to the High Road Cross site of Grace and speak with Needle Knight Leda. She will ask us to help ferret out those that would betray Miquella. We should be able to suggest Thiollier, but again, we don't have to. From my testing, doing so will not prevent us from completing Thiollier's quest, but if we want to play it safe, we can just make no suggestion or not speak with her at all. Instead, to progress Thiollier's questline, all we have to do is rest at a site of Grace 2 times. After doing that, we can speak with Thiollier again, and he will let us know that he is traveling south. Next up, we will need to head south ourselves to the Cerulean coast, which is in the Southern Shore region. Let's go ahead and cover how to get the corresponding map for this region, which we can do on our way to our destination. Once again, we will start from the castle front site of Grace and move southeast, this time sticking to the east side of the main road. Beyond several soldiers of Mesmer, there is a steep but scalable series of drops down to the Elac River. Once we are down, we can enter a cave system near a large pink Miranda flower. We will then move southwest through the cave, and feel free to explore as you go. There is a revered spirit ash that we can grab just before discovering the Elac River Cave site of Grace. From there, we will continue moving south through the cave system. There are a few platforming sections that will need to be dealt with carefully to avoid death by fall damage. Also a threat are the handful of grave birds lining the way down. dangers notwithstanding, we should eventually get to the Elac River downstream Site of Grace. From here, it's just a bit further south to get out of this cavern. That said, we will still need to move further south past several lightning sheep and a furnace golem. We can then angle west and run through a patch of trees to reach the Cerulean coast. You're probably tired of hearing this by now, but yet again, we need to keep moving south in order to reach the map for this region. Watch out for a ghost flame dragon, which will swoop in near the center of the field. It is substantially stronger than the one found in the Gravesite Plains. Not far beyond the dragon, we will find the southern shore map, and just beyond that, one of Miquella's crosses along with the Cerulean Coast Cross Site of Grace. From here, we'll move to the southernmost point of this region, where a large fissure can be found. There's a series of drops that can be carefully scaled to reach the bottom. After discovering the Site of Grace, we can make our way east, and I thought this was a cool moment, so feel free to pause for a minute to avoid spoilers and resume watching after discovering the next Site of Grace. Next up, we will go south from the Stone Coffin Fissure Site of Grace, making our way lower into this area. There is a loose area of rock that will break away when we step on it, and we will somehow land safely on the ground below. It's just a short distance northeast from there to the next Site of Grace, along with one of Miquella's crosses. This next bit isn't part of the quest, but it is sort of related. Before descending further, we can move northwest from the Fissure Cross and drop down to a secluded area. Watching out for falling putrescent oozes, we can move a short distance east to find the Velvet Sword of St. Trina. We can then return to the Last Grace and begin descending in earnest. This time, we will head north, going from coffin to coffin. There are several gravebirds and a nasty variant of lookout stone enemies guarding the way. The lookout stones I am referring to shoot lasers at regular intervals with pinpoint accuracy. I normally don't fight with enemies during my walkthrough sections, but the first lookout stone in particular just gave me too much of a hard time to not deal with as soon as possible. If you want to play it safe, just take this section slow and deal with the lookout stones as you go. Eventually, we should reach the Fissure Waypoint Site of Grace. From here, we will move northeast, jumping to a natural stone path. There is a shade form of a Lionel Misbegotten ahead, so we may want to take care of the skeleton warriors before proceeding. In any case, the Lionel Misbegotten shade will drop the Multilayered Ring of Light incantation when defeated, and it's just a short distance southeast from there to reach the Fissure Depths Site of Grace. Next, we will move southwest along the coffin, jumping off the end of it to reach a boss chamber. Know that there is a summoning sign for Thiollier near where we land, and to prepare for a fight, but you can otherwise pause now to avoid spoilers. For everyone else, the boss, Putrescent Knight, is not especially tanky. It dies quickly, but it also has the potential to deal a lot of damage fast. Its one blue flame move is particularly dangerous, but it can also be dodge rolled through with good enough timing. Upon our victory, we will get the Remembrance of Putrescence, and a Site of Grace for the Garden of Deep Purple will appear nearby. This next part took a while to figure out, but I think I've got it down to the bare minimum steps required. To start, we will want to rest at the Site of Grace, then move down the tunnel to the west. We should find Thiollier talking to himself, and we can pick up the St. Trina Disciples Cookbook 3 nearby. We first need to speak with Thiollier a few times until he stops having any new things to say. Next, we will need to go back to the Site of Grace and rest at it a total of 3 times. Once we've done that, we can return to Thiollier and he will be talking to himself once more. We can speak to him again, but he won't have much to say. For this next part, we are going to die several times. We need to approach St. Trina and imbibe nectar, which will cause our death. We need to then repeat this step, imbibing nectar a total of 4 times. You can pause now to avoid spoilers until you've done that. After imbibing nectar for the 4th time, a new event should be triggered before we revive at the Site of Grace. We can then go speak with Thiollier once more and pass on St. Trina's words. He will tell us to stop, but despite that, we should try to do it again. After speaking with Thiollier until exhausting his dialogue, we can return to and rest at the Site of Grace. Attempting to return to St. Trina will trigger another fight, one that is rather easy. Upon our victory, we will get the St. Trina Smile Talisman, which raises attack power when sleep is triggered nearby. If we go back into the cave and speak with Thiollier, he will ask us a question, but we won't be able to respond just yet. Instead, we will need to imbibe nectar from St. Trina 2 more times, or until she has nothing new to say. We can then return to Thiollier and pass on St. Trina's last words, speaking with him until there is no new dialogue. If we then rest at a site of grace and return to Thiollier, he won't do much besides sigh when spoken to. The final steps of Thiollier and St. Trina's questline occurs in tandem with the final parts of the DLC's main story. I'll do my best to avoid spoilers, but you probably don't need to watch any further until reaching a location called Eldin. Reaching this location requires defeating the final boss in Shadow Keep, as well as the final boss in the Rao Ancient Ruins region. After that, the sealing tree in the Church of the Bud can be burned, which will transport us to Erdtree. Given that the conclusion of this questline is done after defeating the final boss of the DLC, a boss which is extraordinarily difficult, I recommend exploring the Shadow Realm and collecting as many Shadow Tree fragments and revered spirit ashes as possible before proceeding. So, with all of that said, come back to this guide once you have reached the Cleansing Chamber Anteroom Site of Grace. If you have followed all of the previous steps in this guide, you should be able to call on Thiollier to assist you with the boss fight ahead. This is the penultimate boss fight, and many rewards will be obtained after it is done. With that, we can make our way to the Divine Gate front staircase. Up the stairs, we will find the summoning sign of Thiollier, as well as that of Ansbach, assuming we did not betray him at any point. I'm not sure if summoning Thiollier for the fight is necessary for his quest, but that is what I did. If you want to take a risk and not summon him for the fight to see if you can still complete the quest, then that is your choice. If you choose to do that and can still complete the final steps of Thiollier's quest, please let us know in the comments. As mentioned before, the final boss is ridiculously difficult. You can pause here to avoid spoilers, but for everyone else, I'm going to go over how I defeated him. For my own part, I was level 225, using heavy armor along with the fingerprint shield to block the worst of his attacks. I equipped talismans that focus on upping my defense, stamina regen, and spellcasting speed. I used my Mimic Tier Spirit Ashes with my Incantation Seal out so it would focus on casting Black Flame for damage and Erdtree Heal to keep itself alive. I then switched over to the Blasphemous Blade so I could use its skill, which deals a pretty good amount of damage, has nice range, and helped keep my health up while I fought. If my health was pretty low, I used Erdtree Heal to heal myself, as it goes a lot further than Crimson Flasks. But I also kept a few of those flasks for quicker healing in emergencies. I equipped both my sword and seal in my right hand and my shield in my left hand, so that I could always have my shield out to block potential attacks. Even with all of that, it still took me a couple hours to finally beat Promised Consort Radahn and Radahn Consort of Miquella. Also, as a quick side note, if Radahn grabs you twice in his second phase, you will be charmed and instantly die. This will unlock the Let Us Go Together gesture. You can remove the charm debuff after being grabbed the first time with Miquella's Great Rune, which is obtained by defeating the Shadow Sunflower at the Shadow Tree base. This location is accessed via the Shadow Keep Church District after lowering the water there. If anyone has found a strategy that is particularly effective against Radahn, I, and I'm sure many others, would greatly appreciate it if you shared it in the comments. However it's managed, once the final boss is defeated, we can go ahead and touch the memory left behind. Thiollier's body should be found near the arena's entrance, and we can pick up Thiollier's hidden needle weapon along with his armor set. Finally, we can return to St. Trina near the Garden of Deep Purple and pick up the legendary St. Trina's Blossom head armor, which slightly boosts max FP. It also has a faint purple glow to it, so that's pretty neat. If you have any questions, you can reach out to me in the comments where I will do my best to help. If you want to see more great content, you can head over to my channel, and if you're new, consider subscribing. You're helping me feed my cat. Her name's Marshmallow. Have a great day. If you're here today, have a great Wednesday, and as always, thanks for watching.